Advisory Plan Commission for Monday, February 12th. Normally, the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes. However, due to the excessive work that's been created from some of the recent meeting, the meeting last time, those minutes will not be available until the next meeting. So we'll push that forward to the next meeting. Are there any special requests or continuances? Seeing none. Findings of fact. Seeing none. Old business. Seeing none. Old business from the floor. Seeing none. New business. First item on that agenda is PC 2023-050, Menards primary plat. Petitioner is Anthony Sires, excuse me, on behalf of Menards, and this is a public hearing. In other words, we'll have 15 minutes available for the petitioner, along with up to 15 minutes for remonstrators. And then there will be up to 5 minutes for the petitioner's rebuttal, and then 5 minutes for remonstrators' closing remarks. So we'll open this business and please state your name and address for the record.
Sir, Anthony Sires, 530 East Ohio Street.
Please proceed.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Here to present a proposed replat for the commercial subdivision. A rather simple case. It's an existing Menards commercial subdivision, and 4 acres of additional land has been purchased and added to the south side of the existing Menards commercial subdivision. The boundaries of Lot 1, Block A, Block B have been reconfigured based on the plat that's been recommended, I understand, as well as adding Marlin Drive for future circulation and Block E for potential future development. All of the plat requirements have been met based on our meeting on January 31st, and I'm unaware of any additional changes. There was one item that we did go ahead and revise the plat to include, which is how many future lots can be developed from the blocks shown on post subdivision, and we added that information in there per the plan.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to speak for this? Not. Are there any remonstrators present? Seeing none. Public hearing. Questions, comments by the commission?
I have a question. Is the
Possibly. Yeah.
property to the south,
That's what
it's
you're
at 3.87 acres. There's a preliminary plan of storage units that was proposed.
Correct. Menards did receive approval to have storage units, kind of an indoor-outdoor storage unit. You access them from the outside, but they will be walled off, so you would enter the storage area. That reminded us that this needed to be primary platted, but this was actually a condition of their last expansion of the building on Lot 1. Before my time with the city, they had expanded that building and had a condition on that expansion that they would primary plat it. When they came forward with the storage units, we saw some of the past work that they have done and noted that there was still a condition. So even if the storage units do not go there, they do need to primary replat this area.
Thank you.
we see from the notes from the technical review committee that this was given a favorable recommendation by the technical review committee with no additional comments.
Well, there was the all stop on the condition that all staff comments are addressed. I couldn't hear you very well, Mr. Sires, but I think you said you did address all of those comments because you noted the blocks that could be developed.
Yes, that's true.
So in your proposed motion, you might want to say that it meets all the requirements, and that bit about the condition for the staff comments to be addressed is not applicable.
Any other questions or comments by commissioners?
So really, we wouldn't, in the motion, we wouldn't have to say that,
Subject to the technical, no, just say,
Just scratch that.
you just scratch that.
If not, I'd entertain a motion.
As president, I move to approve the proposed primary replat of Menards Commercial Subdivision submitted by Civil and Environmental Consultants Incorporated, docket PC 2023-050, because the primary plat complies with Unified Development Ordinance subdivision standards, and to direct the president to sign in the commission's behalf the notice of determination and written findings regarding the approval of the primary replat as prepared by the planning director.
Second.
We have a second, a motion by Mr. King and a second by Mr. Walker. Last questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please show a sign of raising a hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 8-0. Good luck, Mr. Sayers. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Next item on the agenda is PC 2023-072 Greenwood Springs Lot 2 Primary Replat. This too is a public hearing. The same item shall hold. The petitioner is Heather Beltran on behalf of Ultra Steak Incorporated. Ms. Beltran is online, I believe.
Yes, and that's correct. Josh Krybuler with American Structure Point is also online for this petition.
Thank you, Mr. Kreiber.
Do you swear that the accused perjury has been about to obscure the rest of your knowledge?
I do.
Before the petitioner starts, I do want to pass out a paper copy of the recently updated primary plat. I will also be pulling up a copy of the primary plat online, unless Josh has the ability to share the primary plat via screen share.
I do believe I can share it via screen share. Let me pull it up real quick.
Thank you.
This is different from the one that
Oh,
This is different from the one in the staff report. Very minor difference.
and oh, here I can share. Sweet. And I will highlight that very minor difference here with this quick presentation. Let me know if everyone can see my screen.
yes.
Sweet, and I'll go ahead and state my name and address again. Josh Krybuler with American Structure Point at 9025 River Road, Suite 200, Indianapolis, Indiana 46240. On the screen in front of you, we have a primary plat to create a lot within the Walmart parking lot to allow us to construct a restaurant. Last minute, Walmart did approve us to act on one of Gabe's comments to allow for the Walmart parking lot to become block 1 and the lot that we're carving out to be lot 2, which will enable Walmart, if they so choose, to create another outlot or further subdivide their property, they'll be able to do that without coming back for the primary plat process. we are creating this 1.62 acre lot for a restaurant that is going to have access from the easement, the ingress and egress easement, as well as Walmart's parking lot here on the southwest corner. Gabe, would you like me to cover the waivers now or keep that separate from here?
Let's keep that separate for now and focus on the primary replat.
Okay. This is zoned IC. We are meeting the ordinance for IC besides the waivers that we will be seeking in the next component. This is a more zoomed in version of the primary plat just on our 1.62 acre lot that we're proposing to establish. And that's pretty much it on that.
Mr. President, is it appropriate for me to ask a question at this point?
Please do.
Josh, I appreciate you working with Walmart to get the approval to have a block so that it can be divided into future lots and just go through the replat process. Does Walmart have a number of lots that they would like to divide block 1 into, or have the option to divide block 1 into?
Currently, their intent is to never further subdivide. I think per the current plat, they could subdivide up to 6 more lots. I don't think that will ever get to that point. I can't imagine they'd subdivide to be more than 1 or 2 more lots, just based on the frontage and size of the lot that we're contemplating currently.
Thank you, and Josh, it came in late. Do they have noted on here the number of lots that the block is allowed to be divided on into?
We did not add a note such as that, but that is certainly something we could add to the secondary plat document that will ensure no more. I think it's total, there can't be more than 15 lots in this subdivision, so we can make that note.
Okay, if this is approved, I would recommend that that be a condition for the secondary plat.
That seems agreeable.
Mr. Kribler, is there anything else?
There's nothing else on this item.
Okay, then I move forward and ask if there are any remonstrators who would like to come forward and speak. Seeing none, close public hearing. Commissioners, questions, comments?
I'm curious about the increase, the traffic over there is already pretty intense.
With the 3 traffic lights in a row.
It's very intense. That's my Walmart, right? So what's been addressed, Gabe, with regard to all the traffic, adding more business and adding more parking and adding more?
The parking lot, the Walmart's parking lot that is existing right now is currently very overparked. They are far exceeding the number of parking spaces that are required. We're also working with Josh and his team to establish their own parking areas. As I understand it, Walmart will not do a formal parking agreement with them, but will allow people to park in Walmart's lot that want to go to the restaurant. So as far as the parking question, that has been looked at by staff, and we are still going to be overparked in the Walmart parking lot. As far as traffic concerns, we are working with our engineering team and with Josh to figure out the best way to design the drive aisles. And one of those will actually come up during his waiver request. And we are also looking at the access points, so making sure that we're not creating a dangerous access on a corner or spacing those out appropriately. Marcus, or anything you'd like to add?
I think the only other point I would add is, a restaurant, proposed restaurant like this would have a offsetting peak hour, peak use time from a Walmart, and some of the surrounding uses, so they don't necessarily overlap with, when they generate the most amount of traffic, if that makes sense. It would apply to the parking as well.
I think most of the traffic issues are the southbound trying to enter that complex. It tends to back up to County Line Road. The northbound has two options. They can come in the southern entrance, where the first southernmost stoplight is, or they can come in the second one, this one. That doesn't seem to back up very much as the southbound traffic coming in does.
Yeah, and I would say the Emerson and County Line intersection, which is not our intersection, it's the Indianapolis intersection, is probably operates the worst out of those three signals.
Yes,
And it has effects on the downstream signals.
and we have no control over that.
Correct.
And just
We can beg, but
Yeah, and Indianapolis is working now, currently, they're two laning Emerson Avenue in each direction, north of County Line Road, which I think will help traffic at that signal as well too.
And outside from those actual, like major roads, once you enter into the complex, there's kind of a T at which you go left or right, and then another T once you want to enter the Walmart. That worries me. I mean,
So that's a private internal road system as well, and an access easement.
I like the fact that you're reusing asphalt paving areas and building up the urban area rather than going out farther in the county to do entertainment activities. So I like the fact that you're using this pavement for other purposes rather than just being parking from a design standpoint.
any other questions or comments? What type of restaurant would it be? Title is Ultra Steakhouse. Steakhouse.
Yeah. Ultra Steakhouse is the developer. Aspen Creek Grill is the restaurant.
Oh,
What was the name of the restaurant? Aspen Creek.
Yeah.
Actually, there's 3 restaurants. I looked it up online today. I mean, it's owned by 3 different,
3 different kinds.
yeah, not at that one location,
Yeah.
but the corporate.
Any other questions or comments? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve the proposed primary replat of Greenwood Springs Lot 2 submitted by American Construction Point Incorporated, docket PC 2023-072. Subject to the technical review committee's condition that all staff comments are addressed because the primary
and
plat.
do you also want to add
Oh, there
your
was a-
condition that, and the condition that the secondary plat will note the maximum number of lots that may be subdivided in, is it block B or lot?
Block.
Which would you want?
Block
Block
one.
one.
Block
Correct.
one.
All of that, yes.
Then, once the conditions are met,
Once all of that's met, because the primary plat, once all of the conditions are met, complies with the Unified Development Ordinance subdivision standards, and to direct the president to sign on the commission's behalf the notice of determination and written findings regarding the approval of the primary replat as prepared by the planning director.
We have a motion by Mr. King. Is there a second?
Second.
We'll give it to Ms. Gardner. That's a good sign that they're fighting over seconds. Are there any last questions or comments before we take a vote? Seeing none, all in favor, please show by raising a hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 8-0. Mr. Kribler, good luck.
Thank you, thank you.
these papers.
Yes. Next item on the docket is PC 2023-072. This is not a public hearing, as it is a concession of 3 different parking and landscape waivers. We will take each of these separately, but Mr. Cribbler, I assume you're presenting again?
I am. So I appreciate the good luck on the last one.
Please
Would
proceed.
you like me to? Oh, sorry. Would you like me to go ahead and present now?
Yes, please proceed.
Okay. Once again, Josh Krybuler with American Structure Point, located at 9025 River Road, Suite 200, Indianapolis, Indiana 46240. I'm once again sharing my screen here to display the 3 different waivers that we are seeking out here. I'll go ahead and summarize all 3 up front. The first is a waiver from section 100603D, sufficient frontage and access to a public street. As Mark had noted, we are within a subdivision with private roads within a 30-foot ingress egress easement. Therefore, we have no frontage on any public right-of-way. We are fronted on our north and west sides by this 30-foot ingress egress easement that connects out to the right-of-way and provides emergency vehicles as well as the public access to our site. The second is section 100302E, parking space dimension and drive aisles. As is typical for the UDO, parking spaces are to be 10 feet wide. We are proposing to reduce them to 9 feet wide to allow us to fully get the 124 spaces that our proposed development requires all on our site, as well to allow us to increase our green space and get a little bit closer to hitting our lot coverage requirements. The final waiver is section 100306J2, perimeter parking lot landscaping. We have updated our plan to allow for perimeter parking lot landscaping along all of our sides of the site to the best of our abilities. However, the Walmart parking lot, as is typical of this parking lot currently, we are unable to put landscape islands at the north ends here. And this red area is what we're reestablishing as the drive aisle for Walmart to continue the connectivity within their parking lot and not cut them off with our landscape island. And I do want to point out with this scheme for the landscape islands, I think we are making this safer in that we are removing several of the drive aisles that connect up here on the north end to the private road system, especially around this 90-degree corner that's pretty sharp. Per staff's comments, we have removed a couple connections there and pushed those all eastward to get a little bit of a standoff distance. And then also to reiterate, we have analyzed Walmart's parking lot, that they are very overparked currently, which is good for them and also good to allow for development such as this to happen. Per their building footprint and the UDO, they only need 465 spaces. They currently have 806. So our development is removing all those red spaces, which is approximately 202 of their 806. So that leaves them with 604 spaces. Still very well overparked and maybe even allows for future development if they so choose to allow it. And that's a summary of all 3 of the waivers that we're seeking this evening.
Okay.
And this is the proposed site plan just for reference.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions or comments for Mr. Cribbler?
Other than I guess I saw Ken Seal, the building commissioner's concerns about the width of the parking spaces on the tech review. Yeah, I mean, I see his concerns.
Yeah. Well, why don't we take these one at a time
Yeah,
and first address the sufficient frontage and access to public street. Are there any concerns or questions about that?
yeah, that might be cleaner.
If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the request of Ultra Steak Incorporated for a waiver of the requirements of the Unified Development Ordinance, Greenwood Municipal Code, Chapter 10, Article 25, Division 6, subdivisions, Section 10-06-03, lots D, that specifies that every lot or parcel shall have sufficient frontage and access to a public street to allow no street frontage on the subject property and access to Emerson Avenue and Wilson Drive through the existing 30-foot ingress egress easements along the western and northern boundaries of the proposed lot be approved, and that the Plan Commission find that the criteria set forth by Green Municipal Code, Section 10-04-03K for the approval of the waiver has been met for the reasons set forth in the attachment to the written waiver request and as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. King. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gardner. Any questions or comments before we take a vote? Seeing none, all in favor, please show by raising a hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 8-0. Let's address the parking space dimension and drive aisles.
So I do have a question about that, Dave. If we go from the 10 feet to the 9 feet, is there a requirement of increase of ADA compliance, the number of handicap spaces? I do worry about families with strollers. I mean, I don't know what I don't know, so.
The ADA parking requirements would be tied to the number of parking spaces they have, so they're actually able to fit in more parking spaces by reducing the size. It was also something that I had talked to them due to the existing site condition is 100% impervious surface, and we're trying to add some green space, some landscaping back in. And in order to get the green space to a larger percentage of the site, we did try to reduce some of the parking spaces. I will say regarding the parking, a average parking space, what they're asking for, the 9 feet, that is pretty standard for most cities in America. I've seen standards go as low as 8 or 8.5 feet for the width of a parking space. Obviously, if you have a much larger vehicle, a lifted truck, like some of our staff building commissioners might drive, it could be a little trickier, but they would still fit. And I would also like to note that the Walmart parking lot is open for anyone to park in. They're just not willing to do a formal agreement with Aspen Creek, but they have said that people can choose to park there, and those spaces are larger.
I had a new garage door put on front of my house today, on the front of the garage. Double garage doors are 16 feet wide, which leaves 2 8-foot lanes. Really
That's a
mention
great
that.
question.
Really mention that as an example.
Yeah, that's great.
And I only bring it up, because I was in the tech area. You know, just to kind of get it out there that our well-serving building commissioner does have a large vehicle.
Use the word extremely in front of that.
I won't go after Ken that much.
Are there any other questions or comments? I will entertain a motion for this parking space dimension and drive aisles.
Mr. President, I move that the request of Ultra Steak Incorporated for the waiver of the requirements of the United Development Ordinance, Greenwood Municipal Code, Chapter 10, Article 25, Division 3, generally applicable regulations, Section 10-3-02, parking and access. E, parking space dimensions and drive aisles that specify 9 feet. Parking spaces must be minimum of 10, must be minimum of width. So we're going to 9.
Must be.
It's the requirement. It's saying it specifies 90-degree angles are to be a minimum of 10 feet to allow a reduction to 9 feet.
Okay, I'll keep reading, thank you. To allow a reduction to 9 feet width for the 90-degree angle parking spaces in the proposed project, because the size of the property doesn't accommodate the required number of spaces without the width reduction, and to maximize the amount of pervious green space on the site, be approved, and that the Plan Commission find that the criteria set forth by the Greenwood Municipal Code, Section 10-4-03K, for the approval of the waiver has been met for the reasons set forth in the attachment to the written waiver request as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. Walker. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Milborn. Are there any last questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please show a sign of raising a hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 8-0. The third item is the perimeter parking lot landscaping.
So if I may, just from the staff's perspective, this is only for the southern side of the drive aisle / parking lot highlighted in red. They've provided it everywhere else that they've been asked to do it. The reason that they are requesting a waiver for this bottom part is because they're almost treating this as if it's Walmart's parking lot and Walmart's drive aisle. If you look to the north of the red area, they have that parking lot perimeter landscaping. It's almost as if this part of the site, they are giving back to Walmart, ceding to Walmart. Visually, they own the property, but visually it would look like Walmart's parking lot to help with Walmart's traffic flow. So this is really a traffic flow concern, and that is why they're requesting the waiver.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move the request of the Alter State Incorporated for a waiver of requirements of the United Development Ordinance, Greenwood Municipal Code, Chapter 10, Article 25-3, generally applicable regulations, Section 10-3-06, landscaping and buffering. J, parking lot landscaping. 2, perimeter landscaping, lot landscaping. A, B, C, and E that specifies a minimum of 5-foot wide landscape area at the perimeter of the parking lot drive aisle to allow striping at the end of the parking aisles rather than landscape island. To align with the parking aisle ends throughout the adjoining parking lot where there is not consistent islands be approved, and that the Plan Commission find that Alter State Incorporated has met the criteria set forth by the Greenwood Municipal Code, Section 10-4-3K, for the waiver and for the reasons set forth in its request for the waiver as presented.
Motion by Mr. Walker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Probst. Any other questions or comments before we take a vote? Seeing none, all in favor, please show a sign of raising a hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 8-0. Mr. Kribler, thank you very much.
Thank you. Everyone have a great evening.
Likewise. Is there any new business from the floor? Seeing none, are there any announcements?
I do have an announcement, just a reminder that we do have our Big Ideas open house coming up. There are a couple flyers on our table where there are typically agendas. I'd encourage you to bring one of those home, put it up in your local business, give it to a friend. And if you want a digital copy of the flyer, I'm more than happy to send it to you to distribute to others in the community. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Should be a rush to go home to a football game, all that stuff's over. Not, are there any additional motions?
Move to adjourn.